What's up YouTube? Welcome to FTM for the Music. My name is Lucas Charlie Rose and I'm here to introduce you to some of the most talented musicians in the trans-masculine community. This is the second part of the first episode. If you haven't watched the first part, I invite you to do that right now by clicking on this image right here, and as soon as you're done doing that, let's get right into the topic. First question that we have this week is for Lucas. What are the responsibilities that come with being as popular as you are in the transgender community?
I find that a really funny question. Responsibilities. See, this is something that, to be honest, I wouldn't say it upsets me, but it just kind of annoys me that people think that because I'm trans and a musician and I've had some fame, that all of a sudden I have some kind of responsibility. I understand that I'm not, how can I put this? You can't just like ask people to be responsible for an entire community. I think that that's a ridiculous, expectation of human being, and having that expectation of a human being, you're automatically going to fail somebody, and you're going to fail many people because you can't represent everybody. And I've been in this position, and it's been one of the greatest struggles of my life, to be honest, because I feel like as a representation of myself, I've done a pretty good job because I have nobody else to represent. Dog barking. But as... oh dear. Guys, shush! But as somebody who's supposed to represent an entire community, I don't think that's my responsibility. I think, oh my god, this is ridiculous. Okay, hey, he has to go and get like the one toy that makes noise.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to my answer. I think that I don't have any responsibility as a trans person. I shouldn't have any responsibility. That's like me saying that every other trans person out there has a responsibility to me, to represent me. And I feel like I have had a very unique life, and I've had a very different life than a lot of other trans people. I acknowledge my privilege in my life. I come from a working class family, but I acknowledge my privilege in the fact that I have the appearance of a white male, even though in the music industry I don't. I'm very othered, as my friend Ty would say, in that sort of environment, but still I acknowledge my privilege in those types of situations, but I can't sit around telling myself that I have to be responsible for an entire community. All I can do is represent myself the best that I can, and hopefully people will see me as being a responsible member of society. And who's to say that there are people from our community who can't behave a little bit more, extravagantly than I would and still be respected. We need to have that kind of room for people like that. That kind of stuff just makes me a sucker. As does this situation. Excuse me. Hey, come here. I'm very sorry, but the toy goes away right now. The fish goes away.
The next question is for Trey. Do you consider your music political?
I don't consider my music political, no. Because I don't really rap to try to change things. I kind of just rap to get my thoughts on the paper. A lot of my songs are like things that I wrote when I was going through a hard time. That's basically the only time I write is when I'm going through a hard time. Just need to get something off my chest.
The next question is for Lucas. What is your creative process like?
I've been asked this question before, and it's never something that I can give a clear-cut answer to. My creative process changes from day to day, from year to year. I mean, I've been able to write songs in a moment in like 5 minutes, and then I've had other songs that would take me days. It's really different. Typically, when I write a song, I guess I sort of just get this nudge inside of me to go and sit alone and be with an instrument and a recording device of some sort. And usually that nudge comes from something that I'm dealing with in real life, or something that I'm watching in somebody else's life and something that inspires me. But I don't really have a process per se. I guess the only clear-cut thing that I can answer with that is that to write music, I usually need to be alone. I can't have anybody else around, and I usually need to be very quiet. No distractions. So yeah, and this is gonna sound weird, but I also need cleanliness around me and order. A little OCD in my songwriting.
And when do you think we can expect new music?
New music. I really can't answer that question. I just decided to take a year off performing, and I'm sort of keeping my distance right now from music in a way, because I need it for my mental health and my physical health. And I don't really know. I've been writing here and there. I have some songs that I've been working on here and there. But I'm actually, I think part of my process right now is that I'm giving myself that break from having a deadline to write, because I think those deadlines are part of the reason why we go into stress mode and crisis, especially as somebody who's been in the music scene as long as I've been, and I've had to live with those deadlines. And I think for the first time in my life, I don't have those deadlines, and I'm not going to give them to myself. I think I will release an album when, or singles or whatever, when I feel like I have music that I want to share.
Next question is for Trey. What do you think our community has to do to get better representation?
Really, I think we're doing everything that we can right now. We're all supportive of each other for the most part. We all show each other love. We all, share each other's stuff that we find interesting. I think that's what it takes, The more and more we keep putting stuff out there, the more and more we keep putting out the education, people are curious. They're going to look at it. They're going to watch. They're going to want to know about it. That's what we need to keep doing. In order to be recognized.
And now let's conclude this episode. Lucas, is there anything that you would like to say to the transgender community?
What would I like to tell the transgender community? Be nice to each other. There is something going on in the trans community, I think, and in the LGBT community overall, that has me extremely disheartened by the word community. And it's that it just seems to me that there's a lot of lateral violence, and that there are many people with these attitudes of calling out other people for things completely out of context. And I say this as somebody who's been through that, and I say this as somebody who has watched these things happen. It's one of the reasons why I have decided to stay off social media platforms, because after a while it just starts affecting your mental health. When your own community ends up becoming your own worst enemy, that's a really sad state of affairs, especially when the entire world is looking at us to find a sense of acceptance for us, to see if they can understand us. And all we have is everybody picking at each other and everybody bullying each other. And it's really sad. If you see something online, or if you see a person in public or whatever that you think has done something that is deemed inappropriate or politically incorrect, don't call them out in front of people. Don't call them out in public. Don't call them out online. Reach out to them privately if you want to have a conversation. Keep it respectful. Understand that everybody has different experiences, comes from different worlds. Some people have academic privilege, other people don't. Some people just see the world differently, and just because somebody doesn't know how to express how they feel in academic terms and in ways that sound politically correct doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't make them inappropriate. It just means that they move and see and have experienced life in different ways than you have. And I think that one of the greatest forms of respect you can give a community is allowing there to be individuality within that, and not everybody to behave and react and be the same way. I understand that there are some things out there that are, there are things that happen that you can very much say, oh my god, that's so problematic. But it's far and few between that I've seen those kinds of things be taken in the right context and be taken in a way that they've been dealt with appropriately. So I just I caution the trans community to think a little bit more before they speak, because we should, because it's our responsibility to do so, and it's our responsibility to protect ourselves and to protect our own community, and not just call out people at, you know, at random because we want attention and we want to feel angry. It's time to let go of some of that.
Thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure to come back Friday to see an exclusive performance by Trey. I want to thank again both our guests for being part of our pilot. Next Wednesday we have another episode with 2 other artists. It's gonna be amazing. Make sure to check that out as well. And yeah, the question of the week this week is, what is your favorite love song? Can be any song, just like last week. Make sure to answer in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye.
So darling, lay still and let me come in to you. You know I can feel